Hey, good evening, everybody. Well, I wanted to do a little bit of a video tonight. Tomorrow's kind of a historic day, and I don't know, just kind of do this so that later on I can look back and go, oh, yeah, that was going on back then, wasn't it? So today is November 2nd, 2020. Tomorrow is the election day. So I don't know if you can see that, but November 2nd, about 6:30 in the evening. So I've been thinking a lot about this, and I have a lot of friends, acquaintances, family, people I went to high school and college with, and stuff that we tend to have different ideas on politics, and different things that we hold important and dear to us. But I want to talk just a minute about really what is going on in our country. Um, you know, I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm confused. I'm discouraged. I'm just baffled by what has been going on in our country for the last 4 years. Back in July of 2016, when our current president Trump was starting to talk about foreigners as being rapists and drug dealers and murderers, and I don't even remember all what he said, but basically he was very disparaging to to people, minorities, mostly. I think specifically he was talking about Mexicans, but I have to look back specifically at the footage to confirm that. But back then I thought, man, that's not good, that's not right. I'm obviously a Christian. I'm a disciple, been a disciple for a lot of years now. So I was just like, this seems kind of like authoritarian, or just sort of, let's just put it this way. I've never seen a president act this way. Very unpresidentially, very unloving, very critical of anybody who's not essentially white. So, and so over the years, it's been very obvious that statements he's made about the protests, the neo-Nazis that were in Charlottesville, good people on both sides, and I'm like, that was like August 2017, and I just look at these kinds of things and I'm going, something's just not right. And at the time, back in 2016, even, I'm like, he's putting down the media and just doing everything he could to cause. I mean, he's a showman. Like he is a reality TV star. So I mean, already my expectations were pretty low. But really, I started really going, this guy's kind of a fascist. I mean, we learned a lot more about President Trump, about Donald Trump, before he was even president, but we've learned a lot about the type of person that he is. Now, this part of this by saying that I don't hate about the message he sends to other people, but I don't hate him. I really don't. I don't want to spread more hate. He makes me struggle a lot, but I don't hate him. I've always been taught as a disciple, as a Christian, to love the sinner but hate the sin. This has been a challenging. I've had to pray a lot about this man, about my own heart, to try to be loving toward him. But really, what I've tried to do in the last year or two is to really think about, like, what's the truth? Because I think part of being a disciple is saying, what does God feel about these things? Like, what does the Bible say about how I should treat him? So, I mean, first of all, it says we have to trust our leaders because God put them into, leadership for a reason, and I have some thoughts on that too, which I won't go into now because it'll take more time than I really want to. But I I really think about, like, how would Jesus treat Trump? And um, you know, I think even in the New Testament, there was a lot of things that disciples said to leadership, and sometimes they were very respectful when the uh, the leaders or the political or even the religious leaders of the day were not doing what they were supposed to be doing. They were critical. They were also very honest, even when they were calling them out. But then also too, in I think it's Matthew 23, um, he calls the religious leaders, sons of hell, basically. So, again, I'm saying these things because, you know, the Bible shows us some stuff on this. But what I really wanted to talk about tonight was I wanted to just sort of talk about, like, the things that are going on in this country, the protests, the way, even how police have responded to blacks. And I'm so tired of watching these black men being gunned down in the streets, or having, their necks, um, some policeman squatting on somebody's neck to the point where it kills somebody, or cops breaking into apartments and just starting to shoot. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm not black, but, like, I'm at a total loss as to how these things are happening and why they're happening. And there's just no change. There's just no desire for these things to stop. And I have to really, really wonder what happened to my country. I've been fairly critical of things I've seen in the United States for a long time, but this is a whole new level of evil and selfishness and fear of other races. That's I'm beyond words. I don't know how to process it. I love people. I love people of all colors. I love, all of the riches of all the places in this world. I've been lucky enough to do some traveling. I've been in Eastern Europe. I've done a little bit of traveling in northern Africa. I went to Egypt once. I went to the Philippines once. I've been a lot of different places, thankfully, and I've met amazing people from all over the world. And you know what? They're exactly the same as we are. It doesn't matter even their faith. It doesn't matter, how much money, how rich they are, how poor they are. They're all human beings, and they all want to be loved. They all want to be safe. They all want to have a job so they can feed their families. There's nothing different. There's nothing different. Even in the Bible, like, um, it talks about, like, even in the church, like, here, there's no division. There's no Greek. There's no Jew. There's no Scythian, slave, free, Greek, tall, short, fat, black, white, Asian. It doesn't matter. Especially in the church, we can all be completely unified on things. But the thing that is really bothersome to me is to see this coming from the President of the United States. That's what I don't understand. So I look at the things that have gone on, and I'll be honest, I've spent too much time on YouTube in the last 2 years, honestly, watching all kinds of, political shows about, the things that are going on in the world right now. I started watching right about the 2018 midterm election, when the Democrats sort of took back over control of some things, like the House of Representatives, where they gained something like 41 seats or something like that. That's incredible. It's like 10% of the entire House. So, but let's talk, and let's look at some of the things that have happened in the last few years. And these are things that are unfortunately unique to this presidency. And the things that bother me the most is seeing how the Trump administration has um, made it a concerted effort to make it so that people that are coming into this country through the southern border, and not even illegally, they're coming to seek asylum, which is allowed by the Constitution. They can do that. But one of the things they do to, keep people from wanting to come here is they started removing children from their parents as soon as they sought asylum or entered the country. And again, not all of them were illegal. Some of them were absolutely legal. Then, on that sort of same subject, we've had, I want to say it was like 30 something people died in detention in these border prisons. I don't even know what you'd call them. They honestly, they seem like concentration camps. I, I don't know how else to say it. The conditions are not appropriate for what they're there for. And then recently hearing about these doctors taking, women's uteruses out. I mean, like, what in the world? Where did this come from? How did the United States end up in this spot? Then I think about, the stuff that happened that caused Trump to be impeached. This started about a year ago in September of 2019, where he said, hey, to the leader of Ukraine, say, listen, I'll do this if you, find some information on my opponent, Joe Biden. That's illegal. And for all the people that, went through um, these hearings and stuff, before they did the impeachment and also during the impeachment hearings, that, these guys are political. They're just like, no, you can't do that. So I have to listen to the people that are, in this profession. So anyway, I know that a lot of people are gonna not agree with this, with my take on this, and that's your prerogative. But there's so many things that we've had to deal with in this country in the last few years that they should, our country's stressed out. We're all tired of all of the scandals. We're tired of watching people die. We're tired of watching all these things happen. Excuse me. So why am I saying this? And let me give you a little bit of perspective. So I've been in the customer service field for a really long time. I really like helping people. I really talking to people on the phone and helping them with their accounts or whatever, right? But I can honestly say about probably 2 years ago, things really started changing in my industry, and not because of any other reason. People are just starting to be stressed out by the political situation in our country, by having instability. It's just instability. We have a president who's unpredictable, and in some cases just unstable. He'll say one thing the next day and another thing the next day, depending on how he feels or how he thinks it's going to, affect him, or if it doesn't affect him, or if it helps him politically or whatever. He's going to have a different answer on a different day for the same question. And so you don't have that stability that, and certainly there's no president that's perfect at this. Okay, let me just say that up front. But he's so unstable, and he just doesn't care. He doesn't care about people's health care. I mean, gosh, this is, the only reason he's doing this is because he hates Obama. He's been trying since day one, and you can look back at his speeches before he became president. Day one, he says, "Oh, we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare. Fine. Obamacare is not the best thing in the world. It helped a lot of people, but there was a lot of things about Obamacare that really needed to be improved. Let's be honest. But that all being said, not one time has he come up with anything. He said so many times, hey, I've got this great thing. I'm going to go ahead and release it in 2 weeks. Well, that 2 weeks ended 3.5 years ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, 2 months ago. He keeps saying he has nothing. He has nothing. He has no plan for any of this stuff. All he wants is to stay in office. And I'll tell you why he wants to stay in office. First of all, let's look at the character of the man. What is his character? Okay, before he became president, what did he do? He was a businessman. Fine, great. Okay, he also, I heard this stat the other day. I'm not sure this is right. I thought it was like 3 times, but I heard today that he had filed bankruptcy 6 times. Fine, things happen, whatever, okay? But the issue is that he has done so many things of an illegal nature. Like, look at his Trump University. He actually admitted that it was a total sham, and he had to pay $25 million back to these students who were left in the cold after they thought they were getting an actual education from this man. Total fraud. Okay. Then a year or two ago, his quote unquote his Trump what is it, the benevolent business that he is supposed to be helping out people with cancer or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what the point of it was, but the courts were saying there's nothing about this that's doesn't reek of of fraud, basically, is what they said. So it's called the Trump Foundation. Excuse me. Thank you. I just couldn't remember the name of it there. But anyway, so the Trump Foundation, it's basically been told to shut down, and it needs to pay a bunch of people back for, taking money and using it for things that shouldn't have been used for. And he bought like an $80,000 painting of himself out of the Trump Foundation funds. So anyway, then paying off porn stars. I think he also paid that through his foundation too. I mean, come on, you guys. Like, do we really look at these things and go, this is somebody I want to follow? And these are people that are Christians. They're people that believe in the Bible, that believe in Jesus, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy, he's the one that I want to follow because he's most like Jesus. No. And I think it's the New York Times or somebody has a list of all of the lies he's told. We're talking like 25,000 lies that they can prove in less than 4 years. 25,000 lies. That's like 15, 20 a day, every day. And this is publicly. This isn't even the stuff that's behind the scenes. This is stuff that he does publicly. So anyway, I didn't really want this to go this long. We're almost at 20 minutes now, and I really I'm struggling. I say I'm struggling because this has been such an emotional 4 years. And I posted something on Facebook last night about, it's 1 Corinthians 13:6. It's the love chapter. And one of the things it says is that love rejoices in truth. And, I'm writing a book on love and some other things. And what I've been realizing is I've been trying to post stuff that's the truth. There's a lot of lies being told out there by the way it is. I vehemently don't agree with it. The damage that this administration this regime is doing to our country. Our current president doesn't want to leave office because of all these scandals. He stands to, be in big trouble, legally, financially, um, in more than one jurisdiction. It's not just federal crimes; it's state crimes. It's everything. Like, he doesn't want to leave office because he knows he's going to have to face the music, and he's getting so desperate that he's trying to find ways of bringing Hunter Biden back, and you know what I mean. Like, these things are they're just kind of pathetic. Like, just do something good, have a nice thing to say, like find ways of bringing people together. But he just can't do it. All he wants to do is say how terrible everybody else is and how much of a victim he is for everything. And it just gets really old. It just does. I'm not gonna sit here and say I haven't done those things myself, but he does it every day in front of a camera. And he's the kind of person who just needs that attention. Okay, fine, we all have our things, but man, but it's doing real damage to our country. Getting back to what I was saying about customer service, people are so stressed out. Like, people, they just don't listen anymore. Like, you tell them how to help them and you tell them the steps that you need to go through, and they don't hear it. And you always have to repeat yourselves. And it's gotten so much worse in the last year. It's gotten worse in the last 3 months. It's gotten worse in the last month. It's noticeable, and it's very frustrating for me as a professional to have to deal with that. So anyway, I say all these things. These aren't. This is not a full list of all the things that he's done, by a long shot. Again, I don't want to be critical of him. I really wish he would stop doing these things and just become a regular guy. I really do. I don't mean him any harm, but honestly, he needs to get out of office and he needs to stop doing damage to our country. And for anybody who knows me, you guys know how much I love Germany. And honestly, I'd so much rather be there right now than here, because people have just lost their minds. I don't know how to deal with them sometimes. So anyway, I did this more for posterity, for me to look back and see how things were at this time. Tomorrow it could be really bad. I don't think it will. I really don't. I have hope. I really do have hope. But man, he's going to fight it. He doesn't want to leave office. He's scared. If he has to leave office, he's in big trouble. So you can say whatever you want to in the comments, and you can certainly do whatever you want to. You can say whatever you want to. I don't care. I did this unscripted. This is just sort of off the cuff. But I have to share this because, I just can't support him in any way, shape, or form as a candidate, or several other ways. But and I think just the last thing I want to really talk about is just the pandemic, and how he's really taken a point of view that just doesn't make any sense. Okay, the thing that I think about is, like, for parents that have kids, right? So let's say you have to send your kids off to daycare, right? They're 4 or 5 years old, kids, and I don't mean like mean. I mean just like they're physically having snot coming out of them. But so anyway, I'm getting an unstable connection here. I hope you guys can still hear me. But anyway, I just want to say that you've got to listen to experts when they talk about things like viruses. You just have to. 230,000 people is way too many. It's way too many. The numbers are just astronomical. That's an entire medium-sized city. You're talking about a large city. 200,000. That's the size of Spokane or Tacoma in Washington. That's bigger than those two cities. An entire city wiped out is what that is. And that doesn't even include the need. We need God right now. And I hope you guys are well. I hope things get better for all of us. But honestly, I hope that things get change and that we can see some justice for a lot of Americans who've had to suffer a lot at the hands of this president. Not just Americans, not just women, not just blacks. All of us have suffered. Some of us have suffered more than others. The blacks and the Latinos and the women and I mean, I'm not even going to say I'm in the same boat. We are all suffering, but you definitely have all suffered more. And so please be safe. Please vote if you haven't already. If there's any way that you can do it, some states will allow you to vote same day without registration before that. If you can do that, please do. Please do anything but do not vote for our current president. 4 more years of this, and we will not have a democracy any longer. So anyway, I love you, and I really hope that you understand this, that this is some way helpful for you, and hope you guys have a great night, and may God bless our country. Have a good night.